If you are trying to restore your gut health and you're taking a probiotic supplement, you might want to know when the best time to take it is for maximum benefit. Now, some of these probiotics are like $50, $70 a bottle. So you really want to be getting the most out of them that you actually can. And so that's what this video is going to be teaching you. So here are the 3 best times to take your probiotic. So the first one is in the morning with filtered water. Now this is good because your stomach acid is really low at this point. So we're trying to get that probiotic bacteria to get into really like the end of our small intestines and our large intestines. That's where it's really going to be repopulating, and that's where it's going to stay and colonize and do all those beneficial tasks for our body. So we don't want it getting burned up by stomach acid. And when you wake up, generally, if you're having some filtered water, that's going to create a really low stomach acid environment. So hopefully most of those bacteria will just get through, they won't get burned up, and they'll have a better chance of getting all to the bowel. So that's a really, really good time to take it. Another beneficial time to take your probiotic is 30 minutes before eating. Probiotics are really beneficial because they go into your gut and they actually create enzymes to break down your food and to digest food. So if you have digestive problems or bloating or gas, it might be really worth taking 30 minutes before eating. So that's going to repopulate your gut, but it's also not going to compete with the stomach acid. When you start making food or you cooking or even really thinking about lunch, your body starts creating enzymes and it actually starts creating stomach acid as well because it's preparing for digestion. So if you can take your probiotic supplement before you get to that point, like you take it and then you go think about lunch and cook your lunch, you're going to be giving yourself all that beneficial bacteria that's going to help you break down your food, but it's also not going to get burned up by that stomach acid again, and it's most likely going to get the majority of it to your bowel where it can repopulate and colonize and do all that good work. The third time that's really good to take your probiotic is actually right before bed. So you've eaten all your food, you no longer have the stomach acid, and you're going to give now this probiotic has 8, 10, 12 hours of like fasting time to work and to recolonize and repopulate your gut. It's not going to be competing with any food, it's not going to be competing with stomach acid. And so that's a really, really beneficial time to take it. And sometimes probiotic pills cause die-off, which I have a video, I'll link that here. And so if you've had die-off from a probiotic and you take your probiotic at night, you might be avoiding some of those uncomfortable symptoms that it can cause. Like if you take a probiotic and it causes a lot of die-off and kills off bacteria and you get a bit bloated and funky, you might just be able to sleep right through that stage, and that might be really helpful. And another thing I like to do if you're taking it before bed is you can open the capsule right on your mouth because we actually have an oral microbiome, and every organ has its own little micro community, and our mouth is no different. So if we do that, it's actually going to repopulate your mouth with all that beneficial bacteria and those beneficial yeasts that are going to fight disease in your mouth as well, because we don't want gingivitis and we don't want like the overgrowth of parasites and plaque and all that. So just by populating your oral microbiome before bed, it's going to give it 12 hours to work uninterrupted. You're not eating anything, and it's just going to get to work and give you a really good oral health. In that situation, I would probably take one with water so that it's getting into your bowel and repopulating there. And then I would probably open one on your mouth if you can tolerate it. And I always say start super slow with probiotics, especially if you're chronically sick. I work with a lot of people who have like Lyme, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. So be extremely careful. If you don't react well to probiotics, it's probably way too strong. You can always open a pill, have like a little tiny speck, and see how you go with that. Worst case scenario, if you have a bad effect from that, just back off, and I would say seek out a practitioner so you can get the help you need to be able to digest and absorb those probiotics. And finally, I want to say, I say this a lot, but I do prefer fermented foods over probiotic supplements. There's a time and a place for probiotic supplements. Traveling, they can be really helpful. They can prevent, diseases and stuff, but generally, I like the habit of eating fermented foods over the supplements. And one of the reasons is usually they're contained in substances that naturally they get through the stomach acid a lot better. Sauerkraut, for example, is a great example. Because there's that fiber, that cabbage, the bacteria get in there as well. So even if you chew it, a lot of those beneficial bacteria, those probiotics, are going to be protected in that fiber. So they'll get through your stomach without a problem, and they'll happily get into your bowel where they'll be broken down. And they can repopulate and recolonize. So if you're into fermented foods, I love them. They're super good, and they are really nature's way of getting us those probiotics.